cases come across my viewing and I have to speak out on them. And I am absolutely livid and angry and upset and frustrated about this particular case. Now, this woman's trial's coming up in February. It is a situation of Munchausen by proxy. Um, I don't understand. I really do not understand the messed up systems in this world. If it's not the darn child protective system that's screwing up, it's the hospital that's screwing up, or a doctor, or a nurse, or a teacher, or whatever. How do you just let a child die and be killed and say nothing about it? So here's the story as best as I can tell it, and you know I don't always get every single detail right, so I'll post the link as soon as I'm done. Young little girl named Olivia Gant. She was 7 years old. Her, I hate to say this word, her mother, I say extremely loosely, in the most broken up, disintegrated quotes I can even say it in, egg donor, brought her to a doctor saying that she couldn't go to the bathroom. They treated her for an impacted bowel, removed some stool, and I guess she was okay after that. Next thing we know, she's coming in with all these kind of ailments all of a sudden. Oh, she has trouble eating. She's not doing this. She can't do that. Blah blah blah. Takes them to the doctor. Manages to convince the doctor to do I don't know how many surgeries unnecessarily on the child. Tells the doctors that she had seizures apparently, and manages to get her anti-seizure medication, which she also did not need. This girl is perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with this girl. 7 years old. And this jackass of an egg donor decides she can make money on GoFundMe, and she can let this little girl be taken care of by the whatever it's called, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and get her all this popularity. Because you know, Munchausen people also live by proxy in experiences that their children have. So when the little girl's being honored, that's making the mother feel good. And oh my gosh. And I don't think there is a more selfish way of child abuse than Munchausen by proxy, other than out and out abusing and torturing the child, which plenty of people do that as well. But this lady kept bringing this child into these doctors, into the hospitals, getting her surgeries. Then she convinces them that she can't eat, and the girl ends up getting a feeding tube. She gets a colostomy bag, or ostomy bag, I guess it's called, where she has to defecate into a bag and has a tube in her stomach. I think they said at one point she had like 4 tubes in her. Doctors kept scratching their head going, there's really nothing wrong with this child. We don't know why we're doing all this stuff. Did they bother to report it to CPS? Of course not. No, they just discussed it among themselves and didn't want to, rock the apple cart and upset the quote-unquote mother, apparently. So they didn't bother reporting it. The girl ends up dying. And the way she died was absolutely horrifying. So she got sent home on hospice. A 7-year-old girl, full of life, happy in the hospital, sweet girl, super intelligent. Her grandfather said she could watch a movie one time, and then the next time it was on, she could sit and recite all the lines. Very intelligent young girl. So she ends up on hospice, goes back home. Oh, at one point they suspected the mother was doing something. So they had like round the clock helpers to sit in if the mother was there with the girl to make sure nothing went on. And of course, so during that time, the girl starts getting better. Well, the egg donor wasn't having that. She decides to sign a do not resuscitate order at some point. So they take her home on hospice after whatever this evil witch did to this poor little girl. And she goes home on hospice, and she looks at her grandpa and she says, Grandpa, I'm hungry. And all the egg donor would allow him to give her was popsicle juice, dripped on her lips or on a sponge at the last moment. She wouldn't let the grandfather feed the little girl there was absolutely nothing wrong with. Basically, she starved her to death. The little precious 7-year-old girl was starved to death. Why? Because the hospitals and the doctors didn't want to get involved. They didn't want to report it. They didn't want to let people know that they felt there was a cause for concern and abuse going on with this girl. So she dies at home in hospice, basically starving to death. It's 7 freaking years old. So the lady's getting 16 years in prison. Wow. You know, I'm not a proponent of the death penalty, and yet in some cases I almost think I am. This would be one of those cases. How you take a precious, innocent little 7-year-old child, starve them to death, torture them medically for years. The doctors do nothing to stop it. They don't report it to CPS. Nothing happens. So, how did they catch the woman? Here's the interesting thing. So then the lady tries to do it with the next daughter. She decides to tell the next doctor, a different doctor, of course, because we don't want anybody to know that we go from doctor to doctor doing this crap. She takes the next daughter, and yes, KCL, I said crap, because this is exactly what this is. There's no better term than crap for this. She takes the next daughter in to the doctor and says, oh, she has cancer. She had cancer in the past. This smart doctor, who was very wise, and God bless him, calls up the former hospital that this girl was at, finds out none of this is founded. It's all a bunch of lies. And that's how they caught that this lady was doing this to these kids. And they immediately removed custody of the girl from her care. And oh, lo and behold, no more cancer symptoms, not even a little illness, probably not even a sniffle, because she's not with this evildoer anymore. What in the God-forsaken world is going on in this world that people do not report this stuff? Why? I don't understand. Like I said, I am livid. I am hurt. I am upset that a precious, innocent little 7-year-old girl has to lose her life in a painful, heinous way because nobody wants to speak out. Nobody wants to tell what's going on. I don't understand. I do not understand this world. And another note, since this is restricted from children, an article popped up on my feed about a guy that literally convinced another guy to let him eat him. Yeah. He chopped off his male part, they ate it together, and then he totally devours the guy. What is happening, people? What is happening in this world? I don't get it. And people wonder why I want to believe in faith and heaven and eternity and a better place than this crazy piece of trash we live on called the earth. Yeah, I definitely can't wait till eternity comes. And if it can descend on earth ahead of time, that's even better. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine this. And I don't seek out this stuff. It just pops up on my feed when I'm watching other things. It's just unreal. I had to speak out. I had to give my feelings on it because, ugh, just deplorable is what it is. It's just deplorable. This world is messed up. Very messed up. Not entirely, but there are certain portions of the world that people are doing the absolute unthinkable, unspeakable, unfathomable stuff to each other. And they get away with it, and the penalties are just like a slap on the hand compared to what they deserve. I don't understand it. I really don't. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I just wanted to say that because that story about that little girl just ripped me up inside. I don't understand how people can harm children and keep getting away with it. And then, I mean, the big thing they made of it was the GoFundMe that she raised like thousands of dollars. And the bill that she raised money for that was like $1 million something dollars. I mean, yeah, money is horrible, but the fact that this little girl suffered For 5 years, this went on, and nobody spoke up and did a thing about it. If there's any doctors or nurses watching this, please don't do that to another child. If you suspect that there is a so called parent, and I say that extremely loosely, doing this to a child, please, please report it. The problem is people don't want to violate HIPAA, like the privacy stuff. They're very much walking on eggshells about not reporting things because of HIPAA. And I get it that HIPAA is good for protecting you and keeping your privacy private. I admire that. I understand it. But there are times when somebody's life can be saved. And this little 7-year-old girl remained voiceless for 5 years till she was basically starved to death and killed. Ugh. Okay, that's all. I can't even say anything else about it. I'm going to try to get it out of my mind because it threw me over the edge tonight. I hope you guys are staying safe and warm. I hope that you're walking in kindness with one another as much as possible. And yeah, have a good night. And no, I will not be monetizing this. I'm not going to make money off of a poor, precious child's starving to death. That's just morbid and disgusting. Have a good night.